What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Lucid Daily. And today we have quite a bit of news that we need to go over. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about exactly why Lucid was down compared to the market and other EV companies. We'll also be talking about some good news that we have with Lucid and a couple of things that I found was interesting when I was reading the news today. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. As you can see, Lucid was down 4.27% today. They are up 0.16% in the after hours. And if you compare that to Tesla as well as the S&P 500, Tesla was down 0.3% and the S&P 500 was down 0.38%. So Lucid relatively underperformed the market today, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So when we talked on Friday, there was that Barron's article that got released relatively late into the afternoon, Friday afternoon, and it was somewhat of an article that was bashing on Lucid pretty heavily for their hefty valuation compared to the amount of cars that they have sold. They compared them to Tesla as well as a couple of other EV companies. And so I have highlighted right here just a reminder that this more than likely was due to that Barron's article for that article suggesting that Lucid's trading for a lot higher of a valuation than it really should. And so naturally, when you have a publisher publish something like that, that does tend to have effect on the stock on that stock. I did not think it was going to have this kind of effect, but hey, we learn a little bit every day. And so it's a pretty Lucid's a super volatile stock, so it could drop 4%, but that can be up 6% tomorrow. So we're going to pay close attention to it tomorrow to see how it rebounds, and we'll go from there. But that was what happened in terms of the stock today. Why it was down so heavy was just because I do believe it was that Barron's article that brought it down. Like I said, Tesla was down 0.3%, and S&P 500 was down 0.38%. All right, now let's talk just a couple of seconds on the macroeconomic cycle and exactly what I think is going on. So right now we're starting to see things kind of just chill out. Like relatively, we've had Friday was a relatively flat trading day. Monday today was a relatively flat trading day, and we're having quite a bit of chill waters right now. Now, what I think is happening is we have a little bit of a calm before the storm. And what I mean by that is we had Q1 earnings, and now we're in a time where there's not any companies really reporting. And I believe this is my belief that when Q2 earnings come, we're going to see a very chaotic market, very similar to what we saw in Q1, because I do not believe companies were properly guiding. This is more like a broad market thing, but I do not believe the companies were properly guiding for how difficult Q2 is going to be with them. And I will try to make a video this week on my main channel going into exactly why I think that is. But I do believe we're in the eye of the storm right now, so it's relatively chill. But I do expect us to go hit some more turbulent waters going later into the quarter, and especially going into the end of the quarter when companies are recording and beginning Q3. So that's just my opinion. I may position myself to trade for that. It'll be interesting. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Next, let's talk about a public article that was published today on Lucid and some things that I found were really interesting. So the headline says Lucid allowing reservation holders to upgrade to higher trims at original pricing. Now, at first, when I read that in the first paragraph, I scratch my head, and I'll tell you why. It says even though the new prices are now in effect, the luxury EV automaker is allowing customers who placed their orders prior to June 1st, remember June 1st they did raise their prices, to upgrade to a higher trim at the original pricing. So to make this super simple, just I don't these aren't the exact numbers, but if you before June 1st, if you had reserved the Grand Touring at let's say $100,000, and at the time before June 1st, it was $115,000 to get the Grand Touring Performance, but now after June 1st, it's $125,000. As long as you had that reservation of $100,000, they're still honoring that $115,000 upgrade without having to make you pay that $125,000. And at first, when I read that, I'm like, does that mean they're having trouble with reservations, especially if they're coming down on pricing? But then, like, no, like if they're already in the sales funnel, it's better to have them upgrade than not upgrade at all. So I was like, I came to terms with that before I'd even kept reading. I kind of like just thought and pondered on that first paragraph for a second. But then I kept reading, and it says, according to an email sent to reservation holders over the weekend and provided to Drive Tesla, the offer is only valid until June 30th, 2022. After that date, any upgrade to a higher trim will mean you have to pay the new pricing scheme, which breaks down as follows, and they break down the following pricing. So it does look like they're giving reservation holders a little bit of a grace period, which I actually think is a good thing, that they're honoring what reservation holders did, even if it was like a 30-day buffer. I completely respect that. And I think it's a smart move. I think that they learned a lot of lessons from Rivian, from hiking prices on reservation holders. And I think they're doing it a step ahead of the game too. What Rivian did was whatever your reservation was, that was the new pricing. It was like that for 24 hours. But rather than Lucid doing that, they're like, hey, like you already had a reservation, like you believed in us, like we will honor the original pricing until June 30th. So it's a way to kind of get you to upgrade without forcing it on you, but you still get it what you think is a good deal. And but and there's a deadline to it. So hopefully that will help with is June 30th the end of the quarter? That's interesting. Hopefully that helps with Q2 reservations going into the Q3 earnings report. The hopefully that helps with the Q2 earnings when they report in Q3. The next thing that I want to talk about was the John Redinger. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. John Redinger published a video called Lucid Air 6 months after day one and first day 182. I actually watched it like one and a half times. And he gave a glowing review about the hardware. He just said the car drives phenomenal. And he had a lot of good things to say. The thing that he did not love about it was the lack of upgrades over the car, like the lack of improvement he's seen with the car over the last 6 months. If you guys haven't seen his video, I highly recommend it. It's a very well done video. I feel like he's very honest. He compliments the car where it deserves compliments, and he takes the car where it could get better. So I only have only driven the Dream Edition once, so I can't really attest to the day-to-day software issues. The software for me, I didn't have any problems booting up. The car drove just excellent. The software was slightly slower than what I was used to, but still not as slow as I like as a lot of people have made it seem. But if you watch the video, John does show like actual examples of when the software does lack. And so I feel like as an investor, it's important to understand the product that you invest in. So I highly recommend you guys check out that video. It's a very well done video, and he's one of the only people that has had a Dream Edition for the past 6 months. So again, I highly encourage you to watch that. And again, like from an investor standpoint, I do want to like he was complaining that Lucid has not had as many improvements as he thought he would, and I would like to see that as an investor to continue to see more and more improvements. And I feel like he is qualified to say that. The next thing that became official today is that Lucid Motors is going to lease more than 1,300 acres from Casa Grande, which is in Arizona, which is my home. So it's not too far actually outside of my house. And as you can see here, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors held a special session and approved on a development and lease agreement with the electric vehicle maker for another major expansion, which is good news. It does mean a little bit more CapEx, but hey, if they're expanding, things must be going well, and they must have the budget that they are continuing to budget for to continue to expand, which is good. And hopefully it continues to mean a higher output of vehicles because at the end of the day, Lucid's making a great product, but as a business, we need to continue to see a higher and higher output. Bears Workshop is doing a flyover tomorrow, so make sure you guys subscribe for our episode tomorrow because that's when we will go over, we'll kind of see the differences in the weekend and see how fast they're turning out these cars because I actually have seen a difference in how they are ramping these cars and how much faster they're getting. And I do just want to kind of toot my own horn a little bit for a little. We did make that video Friday going over the Barrons article, which I did say would probably have an effect on the market. I didn't know how much of an effect, but it's just a reason that you guys should subscribe is because I do try to get the day-to-day out news, even if it does come out a little bit late. I try to get out all the same day news as much as possible. So if you guys appreciate it, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. The channel's been doing great. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for your positive comments. And to you haters that leave the negative comments, screw you. I'm just kidding. We love everybody, and we appreciate you guys for watching. And like always, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.